So we are in Book 3, Canto 4. We started this canto last week. It's the climactic moment when Asvapati finally has the vision of the Supreme Divine Mother. And immediately she tells him, "What thou hast won is thine, but ask no more." He was wanting to ask for the Divine Mother's presence on earth for earth and men. But she says, don't ask anything more. And then she she tells him why. She says, the earth is not ready. Truth born too soon might break the imperfect earth. So she says, leave the all-seeing power, the wisdom of the Supreme to hew its way, to cut its way through all the resistance. In thy single vast achievement, reign apart. You will be a great Rishi, a Raja Rishi. You will be helping the world with thy great lonely days. So I'm going to read on from there. I ask thee not to merge thy heart of flame in the immobile's wide, uncaring bliss, turned from the fruitless motion of the years, deserting the fierce labor of the worlds, aloof from beings, lost in the alone. How shall thy mighty spirit brook repose while death is still unconquered on the earth, and time a field of suffering and pain? Thy soul was born to share the laden force. Obey thy nature and fulfill thy fate. Accept the difficulty and God-like toil. For the slow-paced, omniscient purpose live. The enigma's knot is tied in humankind. A lightning from the heights that think and plan, ploughing the air of life with vanishing trails. Man, soul awake in an unconscious world, aspires in vain to change the cosmic dream. Arrived from some half-luminous beyond, he is a stranger in the mindless vasts, a traveler in his oft-shifting home, amid the tread of many infinities. He has pitched a tent of life in desert space. Heaven's fixed fixed regard beholds him from above. In the house of nature, a perturbing guest, a voyager twixt thoughts' inconstant shores, a hunter of unknown and beautiful powers, a nomad of the far mysterious light, in the wide ways a little spark of God. Against his spirit all is in dire league. A Titan influence stops his Godward gaze. Around him hungers the unpitying void. The eternal darkness seeks him with her hands. Inscrutable energies drive him and deceive. Immense, implacable deities oppose. An inert soul and a somnambulist force have made a world estranged from life and thought. The dragon of the dark foundations keeps unalterable the law of chance and death. On his long way through time and circumstance, the grey-hued, riddling nether shadow sphinx, her dreadful paws upon the swallowing sands, awaits him armed with the soul-slaying word. Across his path sits the dim camp of night. His day is a moment in perpetual time. He is the prey of the minutes and the hours. Assailed on earth and unassured of heaven, descended here unhappy and sublime, a link between the demigod and the beast. He knows not his own greatness nor his aim. He has forgotten why he has come and whence. Which way are we reading, Rosa?
I ask thee not to merge thy heart with flame in the mobile's wide, uncaring blaze, turned from the fruitless motion of the earth.
Years.
Deserting the fierce labor of the worlds aloof from beings lost in the alarm.
Thank you. So she has told him that she's not going to fulfill his prayer, that he must return and he must go on helping the world with his great lonely days. But now she says, I'm not asking you to merge into the immobile, the unmoving, the unchanging, into the Satchidananda, that wide, uncaring bliss, that Ananda which is there and which is not touched by the pain and sorrow of the earth. That is a possibility. Many yogis have aimed for that, for merging in the immobile, in the permanent. But she says, that's not what I'm asking of you. I'm not asking you to turn away from the movement of time, the movement of the years. She even says the fruitless motion of the years. She doesn't mean that all the movement of time is really fruitless, but those who choose to go for merging into the Supreme, they do it because they have the feeling that the movement of the years is fruitless, that there's no reason to stay on earth, there's no reason to stay with this whole movement here, because it is all fruitless, it's in vain.
Sometimes we feel it like this.
We often feel it like this, no? And it's because those great spiritual aspirants, they came to the conclusion that it seems impossible to change human nature and the way life is on earth. They came to the conclusion the only thing to do is to get out of it. But that's not what King Aswapati's been aspiring for. And the mother tells him, I'm not asking you to do that. No? I'm not asking you to desert, to go away, to abandon all this fierce labor of the worlds, all this energy and sacrifice and struggle. I'm not asking you to stand aloof. Aloof means at a distance, no? Lost in the alone. Dhanalakshmi?
How shall thy mighty spirit brook repose, while death is still unconquered on the earth, and time a field of suffering and pain?
So here we have this rather unusual word, brook, this verb, to brook, meaning to accept or to tolerate. So she says, you are such a mighty, powerful spirit, you are a son of strength. How will it be possible for your mighty spirit to accept repose, rest, as long as death has not been conquered on the earth and time is still a field of suffering and pain? You won't be able to do it, she said. It's not possible for you because of your nature and the way that your soul is made.
Thy soul was born to share the late force. Obey thy nature and fulfill thy fate. Accept the difficulty and God-like toil, for the slow-paced, omniscient purpose live.
Yeah.
The enigmas not is tied to humankind.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So she says, your soul has been born to share in the effort of the force, this force that is laden, that is carrying a heavy burden. when it is heavily loaded. Laden is a past form of the verb load.
It's like Sisyph, the myth of Sisyph, somebody who...
Yes, who has a heavy load. We see the bullocks pulling these heavily laden carts, such an effort. So there's a force like that which is carrying the whole burden of the earth towards its fulfillment. And she says, your soul was born to share that force, that forward movement that's carrying everything. So, obey your nature and fulfill your fate. So this is, in a way, this is her command to all of us. But she doesn't mean obey your lower nature. Don't obey that nature that ties you to the earth, your higher nature, your soul nature. So then you have to accept the difficulty. I know that you feel that it's so difficult, but you have to accept the difficulty and the effort that needs a godlike strength. You need to be strong, divinely strong, to participate in this effort. She says, live for the slow-paced, omniscient purpose. There's a purpose in the world. That laden force is working for a particular aim. If that purpose is fixed by omniscience, by something that is all-knowing, it takes time. It's going very slowly, slow-paced. That's why one can think that it's fruitless, because it's moving so slowly we don't see the results happening. But she says, you please live for that purpose. And then she introduces the next thing that she's going to say by saying that the enigma's knot is tied in humankind. An enigma is a mystery or a riddle or a puzzle. And when Sri Aurobindo says the knot of the mystery, he reminds us about the Gordian knot. Any of you know a little bit of classical history? It seems that in ancient Greece there was a place, a temple perhaps, where there was a very, very complicated knotted rope was kept. When Alexander the Great was on his rise, when he was starting to spread his father's empire, he was told that one cannot go any further unless you untie this knot. Until you find the way, you won't be able to fulfill your destiny or your purpose. It's a bit like the Sphinx, no? There's a challenge on the road and you have to solve it before you can go any further. If you don't solve it, you won't be able to fulfill your purpose. But that Alexander, he was so impatient, he took out his sword and he cut through the knot. So much for the Gordian knot, no? But somewhere, I think in several places, Sri Aurobindo says that this knot, this mystery that's tied in humankind is not so easy to be cut. We have to really actually untie it. So.
Lightning from the heights that think unplanned, flowing the air of life with vanishing trials. Man, soul awake in an unconscious world, aspires in vain to change the cosmic dream.
Thank you. So the enigma's knot is tied in humankind, so man is the key, no? And what is man? What is this humanity? Man is the mental being. Aurobindo says he's come, or we have come, this race of mental beings have come like a lightning from these heights of consciousness where thinking and planning goes on, the mental plane. And it has come down into this world, and here that lightning plows the air of life. It makes its furrows and it tries to plant things there. But these mind furrows, they vanish, they don't last long. Man is the only being who is awake in the sense of being self-aware in this world which is dominated by unconsciousness. And that mind power that he's brought with him is not strong enough to be able to change this universe. It's being dreamed by powers that are beyond mind, and mind is not able to change the cosmic dream. Shushila, you'll read? No? Would you like to read?
I write from some half-dominious beyond. He is a stranger in the mindless passes, a traveller in his oft-shifting home, amid the tread of many infinities. He is pitched a tent of life in desolate space.
Thank you. So this being, man, has arrived here on the earth, in the material universe, from some half-luminous beyond. Mind is not the full light of consciousness. That mental plane that he has come from is only half-luminous. It's a mixture of light and darkness. But here he is in the material universe, in these mindless vasts, a stranger and a traveller in his home which keeps shifting, and there he is in the midst of the tread of many infinities. There are all kinds of infinities moving here in these mindless vasts. Man he's going to call him a nomad. He's not a permanent dweller. He's pitched a tent, no, in desert space. Prasanna?
Heaven speaks of the Lord, beholds him from above. In the house of nature, perturbing gaze. Why is it? Twist thoughts, inconscient shows.
Inconstant shores.
Constant shows. A hunter of unknown and beautiful powers. Normal of the far mysterious light. In the white rays, a little spot of God.
So this is man. It's such a nice picture. The higher levels, heaven, watching, this fixed regard that is seeing everything, it's watching what man will do. It sees him as a guest in this house of nature, a perturbing guest. He stirs things up, he troubles things, he's disturbing. He's a traveler, different words for traveling, no? A voyager, somebody who makes a journey. He's always journeying between. This is a poetic word meaning between, twixt. Thoughts inconstant shores. So the shores, the beaches, the borderlines of thought are always shifting, and thought is traveling this way and that way, carrying man with it. He's a hunter. Man is always seeking for something. And basically, he's seeking for unknown and beautiful powers. A nomad. A nomad is a person who doesn't have a fixed home, or a tribe of people that don't have a fixed home. They move from one place to another and back again, or maybe they just go on traveling. But this nomad man, what he's always seeking for and following after is the far mysterious light, the higher light. So in the wide ways of the material universe, man is like a little spark, a little light representing the divine. Joel.
Against his spirit, the whole is in dire league. The Titan influence stops his Godward gaze. Around him angers the
unpitying
void. The eternal darkness seeks him with her hands. Inscrutable energies drive him and deceive. Immense, implacable deities oppose.
So everything is against him. All the forces of the universe join together to oppose man, the spirit of man. They are in league, they form alliances, they join together to oppose. Everything seems to oppose the spirit of man. In dire league, dire means dreadful. There's a Titan influence. Aurobindo uses this word Titan, which comes from Greek mythology. The Titans were the ancient gods, the pre-Olympian gods, and he uses it as an equivalent of the word Asura in the Indian tradition. So the powers which are not submitted to the divine, which are trying to assert their own will and their own rule in opposition to the divine. So there's an influence which is like that, an anti-divine influence, which prevents man, the mental being, from turning towards God. He's surrounded by this emptiness, unpitying emptiness. It's so empty it can't have any mercy or pity. It doesn't have any feeling or softness. for humanity. He's always under siege. This eternal darkness wants to eat him up and dissolve him. Apart from that, there are inscrutable energies. If something is inscrutable, it means that you can't read it, you can't understand it. So there are energies which are driving human beings, which we can't understand them, we can't understand their intentions. And those energies drive us and deceive us, they mislead us. And there are, in a way, divine powers, immortal powers, huge powers who are also implacable. It means without pity, ruthless, without love or mercy or compassion. They oppose man. So, in his attempt to change the cosmic dream, there is so much that is opposing him. Patricia?
An inert soul and somnambulist force have made a world estranged from life and thought. The dragon of the dark foundations keeps unalterable the law of chance and death.
Let's pause there. So what is this world that we live in? It's a world that has been made or brought about by an inert soul and a somnambulist force. Aurobindo gave us a glimpse of this problem in the previous canto when he showed us that this world that we live in is based on two vast negations. No? And he said the spirit which inhabits this world is unconscious. No? Here he says the soul of it is inert, it doesn't move. It's like we say about Purusha, that he's just observing, he's passive, he doesn't do anything. And the force, the nature force, the Prakriti, is a sleepwalker, he says here, a somnambulist, a person who's walking in their sleep. It's a remarkable thing about people who sleepwalk, that they seem to know what they're doing, even though they're fast asleep. So this nature force which has created this world, in a way she seems to know what she's doing, but she's not conscious. So together, this inert soul, this soul which is not moving, which is not asserting its mastery, which is not shedding its light, and this somnambulate force have created a world which is estranged, which is a stranger to life and thought, a material world, a world where life and thought come in as extras, as intruders even. And so it is ruled by these darker powers, the dragon of the dark foundations. This dragon is mentioned even in the Vedas. It's the dragon of the inconscient, which is at the base of everything. And because that dragon is there, holding on to all the treasures and not letting them out, then it keeps this law of chance, of randomness and death. It holds that law as the basis of the material world. Yuli.
On his long way through time and circumstance, the grey-hued, wriggling, nether shadow Sphinx, her dreadful pulse upon the swallowing sands, awaits him, armed with the soul-slaying word. Across his path sees the dim camp of night.
Yes. So, as humanity, and for each of us as a human being, we have this long journey to make, the human journey. It's a journey through time and through these circumstances that we have little or no control over.
Why you say circumstance without S singular?
Because it's not the individual circumstances, it's the principle of circumstance, of the things that stand around you. So, on this long journey, the human journey, he has to meet the Sphinx. This is this old Greek image that anybody who's on the human journey, who's aspiring to go further, will be confronted by this figure. The Greeks imaged her like a cat, a lion's body, but with wings and a human face. Here he refers to the other Sphinx, the Egyptian Sphinx, which there's this very big one in front of the pyramid in Gaza, which they say is perhaps the image of a king, but of course there's thousands and thousands of smaller ones who are lion-bodied with a human face. And the function, what does this Sphinx do? What does it represent? It represents the great existential questions, the questions that you have to find an answer to, otherwise you can't go forward on your journey. If you can't answer the Sphinx's question, she will destroy you. So today I won't go into the answers to the questions and the answers, but what he's saying is, and in Savitri we see this Sphinx appearing on different levels. Here he's speaking about the grey-hued, riddling, nether shadow Sphinx. This is the Sphinx who meets us from the lower levels of existence. Nether means lower. She's grey, she's shadowy. We don't see her properly. No? King Aswapati also sees life as a sphinx whose eyes look up to a hidden sun. And at the end of Book 2, he encounters the golden sphinx, the sphinx on the very highest level. But on whichever level she is, she's posing you a question to which you have to find the answer. And there she is, her dreadful paws on these swallowing sands of the desert, and she has the word, she can speak the word that will not only take away the life, it will slay the soul. So she's a very dangerous being. And on his journey, man has to again and again pass through the night of death and unconsciousness. Maybe even the night of evil. Most of the time in Savitri, night stands for the darkness of unconsciousness. But there's a couple of places where it stands for the falsehood that is generated by unconsciousness.
It's darker than night.
Which is darker than the physical night, much darker, much, much darker. Who is to read next? James.
His day is a moment in perpetual time. He is the prey of the minutes and the hours, assailed on earth and unassured of heaven, descended here, unhappy and sublime, a link between the demigod and the beast. He knows not his own greatness nor his aim. He has forgotten why he has come and whence.
Yes. So our day, our life is just a moment in that perpetual, everlasting time. And the minutes and the hours are eating us up. He is the prey of the minutes and the hours. Here on earth, he's assailed, he's attacked by all these forces which are in dire league against him. He aspires for heaven, but he's not sure of reaching the higher levels. He has descended here from his half-luminous beyond, that mental plane that we have come from. And he's unhappy here. But he's also sublime, because it is the heroic spirits who have agreed, the heroic souls who have agreed to come down from our mental heavens and to be here and to undertake this journey, this adventure of involution and evolution. Mankind is a link, he says, between the demigod, the half-divine being, and the beast. And perhaps by the beast he doesn't mean just the animal forms. He means that stage in which there is a human form but no soul, a purely animal consciousness in a human-like or humanoid form. He's higher than that. He's a mental being. He has forgotten. He doesn't know who he is. We don't know. For us in Auroville, Mother says, this is the first thing that we need to do, to find out who we really are and why we are here. What is our purpose? We don't know our own greatness, and we don't know our aim, because in the mental being we have forgotten why we have come here, and we've forgotten where we have come from. Okay, let's stop there for today. And shall we take the time to read it? I ask thee not to merge thy heart of flame in the immobile's wide, uncaring bliss, turned from the fruitless motion of the years, deserting the fierce labor of the worlds, aloof from beings, lost in thee alone. How shall thy mighty spirit brook repose, while death is still unconquered on the earth, and time a field of suffering and pain? Thy soul was born to share the laden force. Obey thy nature and fulfill thy fate. Accept the difficulty and godlike toil. For the slow-paced, omniscient purpose live. The enigma's knot is tied in humankind. A lightning from the heights that think and plan, ploughing the air of life with vanishing trails. Man, soul awake in an unconscious world, aspires in vain to change the cosmic dream. Arrived from some half-luminous beyond, he is a stranger in the mindless vasts. A traveller in his oft-shifting home, amid the tread of many infinities, he has pitched a tent of life in desert space. Heaven's fixed regard beholds him from above, in the house of nature a perturbing guest, a voyager twixt thoughts inconstant shores, a hunter of unknown and beautiful powers, a nomad of the far mysterious light. In the wide ways a little spark of God. Against his spirit all is in dire league. A Titan influence stops his Godward gaze. Around him hungers the unpitying void. The eternal darkness seeks him with her hands. Inscrutable energies drive him and deceive. Immense, implacable deities oppose. An inert soul and a somnambulist force have made a world estranged from life and thought. The dragon of the dark foundations keeps unalterable the law of chance and death. On his long way through time and circumstance, the grey-hued riddling nether shadow sphinx, her dreadful paws upon the swallowing sands, awaits him armed with the soul-slaying word. Across his path sits the dim camp of night. His day is a moment in perpetual time. He is the prey of the minutes and the hours. Assailed on earth and unassured of heaven, descended here unhappy and sublime, a link between the demigod and the beast. He knows not his own greatness, nor his aim. He has forgotten why he has come and whence.